Hi, my name is Ella Wilson Tucker, and I will be discussing what academic librarians should teach their STEM undergraduate students regarding research and library usage. For the purpose of this webinar, STEM students will refer to students in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics-based majors. The first topic that I will be covering is how students can use the library. Like all undergraduate students, they must be given an introduction to the many services that your library offers, or at least have access to this introductory information. Students will have varying levels of previous experience with libraries and may not understand that the library provides more than just books. Students should be informed of the various reference sources that libraries have access to, such as databases, interlibrary loans, ebooks, and other downloadable options. They should also know the available study spaces, as well as any study group rooms available, and the open hours for these services. Never assume that your students already know anything about the library and its services. Some students, such as international students who grew up in other countries, may not have ever used or visited a library like yours before. Make sure that you advertise and inform students about all of your services and offerings. If they don't know they exist, they can't use them. Students should know that they are more than welcome to ask for help from librarians and staff at the library. They should know how to ask for help, such as contacting the librarian or staff member working the reference desk, or how to utilize virtual reference services. Students should feel welcome to ask questions, never embarrassed, and should always be met with great customer service and kindness. Virtual reference makes reference services much more accessible to students, as they can ask a librarian a question from anywhere, and can even type it in an instant message instead of calling and needing to speak. This can alleviate a lot of the anxiety that young college students may face in needing to ask a question about a topic that they might not feel knowledgeable about, as Radford discusses in their 2011 article. While these introductions to library services and resources are often conducted during new student orientation, it is important to offer opportunities to refresh this knowledge. Transfer students from other universities may not have the same orientation experience as freshmen who start their undergraduate experience at your library. Also, not all freshmen are able to attend their orientation due to work schedules, planned trips, etc. Library tours can be offered as an ongoing monthly program or even offered virtually on the library website. Library usage is attributed to success within undergraduate STEM students, as Scalise discusses in their 2021 article, so it is very important to increase awareness and accessibility to ensure these students reach their goals academically and in their career. My second point I would like to discuss is effective databases for STEM students. Depending on their areas of research, some databases might be better and more helpful than others. However, a LibGuide should be created for students in this field of study regarding which databases your library subscribes to that would be useful for them. This could be further broken down into which specific databases are useful for each specific type of coursework, such as chemistry, mechanical engineering, and statistics, each having their own LibGuide. This LibGuide should be easy to access, preferably on your library's website, so that your students can access it from home or school. STEM students should also be introduced to Google Scholar. While this database is very broad, it has useful resources for students of all types. It can also be very helpful when students need to conduct interdisciplinary research. With the proper research techniques, Google Scholar is a useful tool for students of all types of studies. Additionally, Google Scholar is unlike most other databases in that it is completely free and does not require a subscription in order to use it. This leads me into the third topic that I would like to discuss: search strategies for databases. While some students may enter college with knowledge of the existence of databases, many might not know how to properly conduct searches within them in order to use them effectively. For example, students should be taught how to use Boolean phrases and, or, and not. Students might only know how to use a single search bar, such as the single search bar used for a Google or Bing search, and the various optional search bars may not be intuitive for beginners. By using the phrases and not, the user can hone in on the specific type of result they are looking for, or even expand their search by using Boolean phrase or. Examples should be given of specific searches that these tools come in handy for and why, so that students are able to see and grasp this concept. On this slide, I have included an example of a STEM academic search that could potentially be conducted, as well as how Boolean phrases could be used in order to expand or narrow the search. Giving multiple clear examples to your students will help them to understand how they can apply Boolean phrases in their own searches. Having them written out like this will help visual learners to understand and follow along as you instruct them on this concept. Auditory learners will be helped by you discussing these concepts aloud. Kinesthetic learners will understand by doing, which is why multiple examples broken down into steps like this will help them to understand these concepts. Please feel free to use this example in your handouts for your students, as well as use it for inspiration to create more example scenarios for your students. In this example, the student wanted to conduct a search regarding the study of thermodynamics on bridges that utilize cables. As you can see, the original search was simply thermodynamics affecting cable-stayed bridges. In order to narrow this search and gather more useful results, the user could search thermodynamic in the first search bar and cable-stayed bridge in the second search bar, joining the two using Boolean and. If the user then wanted to expand this search to include other types of bridges that utilize cables, such as a suspension bridge, they could join suspension bridge with cable-stayed bridge utilizing Boolean or, as shown on the third line. In addition to using Boolean phrases, the search fields can be adapted to help narrow or expand a search. For example, a phrase entered into the search bar could have the search field as title so that only results containing that phrase or keyword in its title would be returned. Or it could be set to search if the phrase or keyword appears anywhere in the text. I've included a screenshot showing how to access this tool on an EBSCO-host database, as well as all of the options to choose from. Students should also be informed of this search tool and how to access it on the databases that your school subscribes to. Another useful tool that is not as widely known about is truncation, which is a tool used to expand a search. By including an asterisk or whichever symbol the database you are using has designated as its truncation symbol, in place of a suffix, all potential variations of a word are included in a search using the portion of the word you provided. For example, when wanting to search broadly about the environment, someone might search environ with an asterisk, and this would then search all words that start with environ, such as environment, environments, environmental, etc. I have included multiple examples on this slide for you to use when educating your students if you'd like. These search strategies can all be used to either expand or limit a search. It is important for students to know and understand when they should adjust their searches. Did their original search return too many results? Not enough? Or perhaps the results are not what they anticipated and they need to redirect their strategy? Students should have a basic understanding of how to search databases due to their importance in finding new and cutting-edge research studies, as well as other important information of interest to their fields of study and future careers. My fourth point I would like to make is regarding information literacy. More specifically, the importance of reliable information for searches that aren't for scholarly, peer-reviewed articles, such as Google searches or other commercial search engines. As we know, there are plenty of freely accessible sources of good information on the internet, as well as plenty of illegitimate sources that spread misinformation, as well as plenty in between. It is important for students to know the steps to determine if a source is reliable. However, no standard curriculum has been established within higher education for information literacy, as Summer et al. Discusses in their 2021 article. This is where academic librarians come into play. It is our responsibility as information professionals to ensure our students are aware and capable of finding high-quality information, both for their studies and for personal usage. You should teach your students to determine the credibility of information they find while searching the web. This can be a list of factors they can check, or even a basic guide. It should contain several factors such as who the author or organization is that wrote the article, how and when it was published, if any sources are cited, etc., etc. The University of California, Berkeley has an excellent LibGuide for their students regarding this matter, and I've included the URL on this slide if you'd like to visit their page to look. On the next slide, I will have a screenshot of a portion of the guide as I describe it more in depth. This screenshot is from the University of California, Berkeley's LibGuide for evaluating resources. As you can see, they have a clear and concise quick guide to 6 points that should be considered before using a source. On the right-hand side of the screen, there are also additional tips for searching. If you scroll down further on this page, you will see their slow guide, in which you will find more in-depth information regarding what exactly the student should be evaluating and what questions they should be asking regarding the 6 points shown in the quick guide. This is an excellent way to present the information to students because it is clear and concise, so it keeps the attention of the reader without being too wordy. Students should also know the differences between a Google search and a database search, not only in terms of what types of information and sources can be expected from each, but also regarding how we conduct the searches on each. There are some search strategies that are unique to Google that students should be aware of. An example of this is using a dash or hyphen symbol in place of Boolean not in the Google search bar. These strategies are not common knowledge, so it is important to educate your students on them so they can access all types of information and sources reliably. This concludes my webinar regarding what academic librarians should teach their STEM undergraduate students regarding research and library usage. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at my email address, which is ebwilson@valdosta.edu and is listed right here on the screen. My sources will be listed on the final slide. My sources are listed here.